Guys, good morning. We're going to go over the parts of a circle. Okay, we're going into circles. Now, for circles, I think this might be your first time seeing circles. Okay, so we're definitely going to make sure we go over this. All right, so you can get all the parts and understand the formulas that we're going to be using. Okay, so let's get into the parts. Go ahead and press pause and copy down your definitions and then press play when you're ready. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the parts of these circles here. The first definition you're going to have is called the diameter. Okay, the diameter is a segment that goes from one point of a circle to another through the center. Okay, so it goes from one end of the circle. Let me get a circle here. Okay, so it goes from one end of the circle to the other, passing through the center. So it's the entire inside there. Okay, so what it looks like is, let's see, here's my circle. So go ahead and draw it. Here's the center, and the diameter is the one that goes from one end to the other, and it has to pass through the center. Okay, it has to pass through that center. If it doesn't pass through the center, it is not a diameter. Okay, it's something else, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. But it has to pass through that center point for it to be called a diameter. Okay, it's the entire length right there. All right, we're going to be using this for a formula today, you'll see. Okay. Next up is the radius. A radius is a segment that goes from one point on a circle to the center, and that's it, okay? So it goes from one point to the center and it stops. That's it, okay? It doesn't go all the way across. So that is really half the size or half the length of the diameter. So let me show you what that looks like, okay? So here's my circle again. All right, and here's the center. So to be called a radius, it goes from any point on here, so it can go anywhere, and it goes straight there. That's it. That's the radius, okay? It's half the size of the diameter. So if the diameter is 20, the radius is 10. If the diameter is 4, the radius is 2. If the diameter is 3, the radius is 1.5. That's how it works. It also works the other way. If I tell you that the radius is 10, then that means the diameter is 20, because the diameter is made up of 2 radii. Okay, radii is the plural for radius. Okay, so if I say that this is 10, that means the diameter would be 10 plus 10, which would be 20. Okay, and that's going to help you a lot for the circumference and the area of the circles when we get to those. All right, so diameter is the entire length going through the center, very important. Radius is just going to the center and stopping, so it's half the size of the diameter. All right, now we have the chord. The chord is a segment that goes from one point of the circle to another without going through the center. So on this one, it does not touch the center. So let me show you what it looks like. It kind of looks like a diameter, but I'm not going to touch that center point. Okay, so here's my center point. And if I want to draw a chord, my pen, a chord will just go from one point to another. Okay, it'll go from one point to another. It's not touching the center. Okay, if it touches the center, then that's called a diameter. Okay, but a chord does not touch the center. It goes from one side to the other, doesn't touch the center. Okay, that's the difference. Next up is the circumference. That's what we're going to be talking about in a little bit in the next video. But circumference is the distance around a circle. Okay, it is the distance around the circle. So when I find the circumference, here's that. It's kind of like the perimeter. Okay, it's a fancy word. Oops, there was my paper. It's a fancy word for perimeter of a circle. It's what it boils down to. Okay, so if I want to find the circumference, I'm going to highlight going around. Okay, and that's what I was telling you. I think on one of the other tests, I was telling you that this is the only perimeter formula you're going to get on the star chart for 7th grade. All right, so, and the reason is because this should be the first year you're seeing circles. All right, and that's what circumference is. It's the perimeter. It's pretty much the perimeter of a circle. Okay, and you are given 2 formulas for that. Okay, the formulas are going to be 2 of them, and we're going to go into more depth in another video on this one, but I just wanted you to know that you do have two formulas for the circumference, okay? But it is the distance around a circle, okay? Now, the next one we have is pi, okay? Pi, if you don't know, is 3.14, and I put the dots there because it goes on forever. If you look on YouTube and look for the 100 digits of pi, it's a cool, catchy song that'll get you the first 100 digits, okay? And it does go on forever, though. But I just know a few of them, 3.14159. That's where I stop, okay? But for math and our formula chart, we're just going to be using 3.14. Okay, and that's good. Now this is the symbol for it. So it's like two little sticks, and you can put a wavy line up there on top. Some people just put a stick on top, that's fine. But it's pi, P-I, it's the Greek alphabet, okay? So P-I. And it's a ratio between a circle's circumference, okay, and its diameter. So it's a ratio. So we write it as a fraction, okay? So what pi actually equals, there's pi, it actually equals a circle's circumference over the diameter, okay? Pi equals the circumference C, okay? We use C for a variable over the diameter D. We use D for the variable for diameter because it begins with the letter D. Circumference begins with the letter C to try to make it easier for you, okay? So some questions they can ask you: if a circle has a diameter of 20 and a circumference of 60.24, something like that, what is the ratio of pi? You just plug in the numbers where they belong, and you're done. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's go over the parts of a circle again. I just want to make sure you see them correctly, okay? So if I have a circle, let's draw a circle here. Just like that, nice little one. Don't forget your center here, okay? And I am going to call this for y'all here the center. So I'm going to put a little arrow here. That is the center point, okay? There's your center. Now, diameters don't always have to look the way I drew them. They can be diagonal. So let me show you. So if I want to go from one point to another, as long as I go through that center right here, that's called a diameter, okay? So diameter, okay? That whole thing is called a diameter. Same thing with the radius. It could go anywhere. I can start from here and go out over here. That is a radius. As long as it goes from one point of the circle to the center, that's called a radius. I can go here, here, all the way around the circle, okay? Diameter, same thing. Go diagonal, straight, anywhere across with the diameter. As long as I go through that center point, it's a diameter. And the chord, same thing. It could be anywhere on this circle as long as I go through the center. As long as I do not go through the center, it is called a chord. So I can go from here, this point, to that point. And that is called a chord, okay? And it's a chord because it does go from one point to another on the circle without hitting that center point, okay? So that is, draw a line here, okay? Now there's a couple of other circles I do want to talk about because I know that they will be on your star, okay? And that is going to, I'm going to cut this in half of me. Go like this, okay? The first circle I want to go over looks like this, okay? And it's called a semicircle, or more importantly, it is half a circle, okay? So just like that. So we're going to draw a line here and then just connect a little thing, okay? That is called a semicircle. More importantly, it's half a circle, okay? Now, I want to make sure that you see this just because you are going to be given semicircles and you need to know exactly, well, what is this line? I'm going to need to know what this is. So in a semicircle, let me show you. Here's the center point, okay? So I got a circle, I cut it in half. So it's the diameter, okay? So this length right here is the diameter, okay? So it is half a circle. So in other words, if this is half a circle, just like a triangle is half of a parallelogram, just like a trapezoid is half a parallelogram as well, you're going to have to divide by 2 if they ask you for the circumference or the area, okay? So a mental note right here, divide by 2, okay? And that's because it's 1/2. Okay, that's what's cool about the fractions. If you have 1/2, you divide by 2. If you have 1/3, divide by 3. If you have 1/7, divide by 7, okay? So this one is 1/2, we divide by 2. Okay, and that's gonna be for circumference and area a little bit later, all right? The other circle that I want to show you, okay, it's gonna be drawn like this. So draw kind of like a right angle here, okay? Got that? And we're just gonna connect with a nice little arc. Sorry, okay, connect with an arc. And here's my center right here. Now this one, it's half of it, but then I fold it again. So this is not the diameter, it is the radius, okay? And this is a quarter circle. More importantly, 1/4 a circle, okay? So those are going to be very important. Okay, so on a quarter circle or a fourth of a circle, this is your radius. Oh, I lost my head. Let me give you my head back. Sorry, guys. Okay, so that fourth of a circle, we are given the radius, okay? So that is the radius, all right? This also is the radius. So if you want to put that on there, I'll go ahead and twist mine around. Okay, that is the radius also, all right? And that's important to know, especially if we're going to be doing circumference and area of a circle, all right? Now, just like with a half circle, all of our formulas, we divide by 2 because it's half of it. Guess what we do with a quarter circle? We divide by 4, okay? And that's because it's a quarter circle. So a half circle, divide by 2, quarter circle, divide by 4, okay? Let's go ahead and finish writing that down. And then I'm going to give you some tried outs. And it's really just name the parts of the circle for me. That's pretty much it. And then you're also using the ratio of pi, okay? So again, for the ratio of pi, if I give you the circumference, that goes on top, diameter goes on the bottom, but be careful because sometimes I'm going to give you the radius and you have to remember the radius is twice that size, okay? So let me go ahead and give you the tried outs and then we can go through it, especially number the other two, okay? Let's go ahead and look at these here. All right, the first part you're going to label for me parts of a circle. So that's numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, give me the names and then answer 6 and 7. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom out. There we go. Go ahead and copy it down and then press play when you're ready to see my answers. Okay. All right. So this dot right here, that's number 1. That's what we call the center. Okay, that is the center. Let me zoom back in now. Come on, zoom. I just have to go slow. There we go. Okay, so that is the center. So number 1 is the center. Number 2, I'm going from one side to the other without going through the center. This is the chord. Number 3 goes from the center out. That is a radius. Okay. Number 4 goes from one side all the way to the other. Hopefully you saw it did go from all the way to the other. That's the diameter. And here's another one that goes from one side into the center, and this also is a radius. Okay, so check on those. Now, if you put radius and radius over here, I understand. I didn't explain it well. I should have just highlighted that number 4 is the entire thing. But just know that the diameter does go all the way across. Okay, I should have used different colors. Yeah, mental note for next time. All right, let's look at how you did on the bottom. The next one. If a circle has a circumference of 37.68 and a diameter of 12, what is the ratio of pi? So the ratio of pi, if you remember, is circumference over diameter. So we're just going to plug it in. That's all we got to do. Now it tells me the circumference is 37.68, so that goes on top. Done. And the diameter is 12. That's it. That's all you got to do. Okay? If I can simplify, I'll simplify. And I could probably by 2, but I'm fine with here. Okay? Always check to see if that answers in what they want. And then if it's not there, reduce it before you start overthinking it. Okay? All right. And number 7. If a circle, if a circle has a radius of 5 and a circumference of 31.4, what is the ratio of pi? So the ratio of pi again, circumference over diameter. It says here the circumference is 31.4. Oops, 31.4. But it gives me the radius. And if you remember, the radius is the little guy. It's half the size of the diameter. So if the radius is 5, that means I need another radius over here to give me the diameter of 10. And this is your answer. 31.4, oops, 31.4 over 10. And that's because they gave me the radius, okay? So I had to do 2 radiuses, or 2 times 5, 2 radii, 2 times 5 to give me 10. And that's how you get the diameter, because I need the diameter, okay? Perfect. All right, that's all I have for you right now. You're going to watch the next video. And the next video is all about circumference. So now I'm not going to give you the circumference, okay? I'm not giving you the circumference. You have to find it. So we're going to manipulate this formula to find the circumference of circles, okay? All right, I'll see you in a little bit.